the recession of hip hop.
Yes.
We are living through it.
Yeah.
And these two top 10 lists, evidence of it, where I think I have Yeat and Jack Harlow on mine, right?
I have 3 hip hop artists
Yeah.
who dropped non-hip
Hip-hop
hop
music,
albums.
yeah.
Yes, so. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. All my people on YouTube, smash that like button. Of course, go ahead and subscribe. Share this video. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, and we are joined by His Royal Highness, a.k.a. the Bunny, King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're back. Album mode. This time, it's the episode every single person has been waiting for.
Every single person.
Every single person has been waiting for this episode. It's the top 10 albums of 2023. Okay? This is the time where everybody gets to bring up the list, get to ranking. You know, they're talking about which album they thought was trash, which album they thought was underrated and then somehow made the list, which album they thought was overrated and they're like, it wasn't that nice. And it starts to slide down. This is that episode.
Yes.
And also, if you have somehow missed anything that we are going to list on this episode, spin it immediately.
Yeah. This is a taking notes episode.
Yeah, because Adriel and I very, very rarely are putting garbage on this list. It's not, in fact, it doesn't make the list ever.
Yeah. The closest was that one EP that was not even on streaming that I put on the list. Great EP.
Yeah.
But that was the closest we got to kind of bastardizing this list. But this list is ironclad, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so. I would think that for some people, it would get a little bit questionable on my list. I'm going to be honest with you, because I have a couple of albums where I think, and from what I've seen, read, heard, people were not considering for top 10.
That's interesting.
So, but I have considered it for top 10. So there's going to be a little bit of contention. I think. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think this may be my safest list. I think I have two. I think I have 2 on here that I know you don't have, and I know that a lot of people don't have.
Okay.
Maybe 3, but I think this might be my safest list. Like, you know, the internet will love this. This will not be beefing with anyone. Of course, there's the super fans who every project got to be number 1, but this might be my safest list I've ever put together. And it makes me feel kind of weary about that. Like I've done something wrong. Yeah. But let's get started with number 10. What was your number 10 spot starting off this list?
Okay, my number 10, and this is we're already in the realm of people. I don't know if they're gonna love me or hate me or not when it comes to this. For me, number 10 is Afterlife by Yeats.
Okay.
I think that Yeats is on just a constant upward trajectory. We saw it with this album, which I think is his best. He's basically taken every fucking tool out of the toolbox. Any tool that Uzi created, Future created, Chief Keef created, or Playboi Carti created, and he's created himself. He just put them all in a pot, stirred, and then was distributing that soup, and it tastes delectable. Okay? I love Big Tonka, right? Every single tool. He has everything, the modulation of his voice, because he has a really deep voice, but then he's modulating with the auto-tune. Sounds fantastic, okay? Hard-hitting, rage music is all the rage right now. Yeah. Hence the name. Yeah. And I think he's like the leader of the pack. It's like him.
And everybody else.
And then everybody else. And I guess Playboi Carti is like, you know, his godfather.
We're going to see how that goes.
Right? But it's really like Yeat, and then you're talking about your Ken Carsons and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Right.
Destroy Lonely, all those people. Yeah.
Right. Destroy Lonely. Exactly. Your Opium crew. Right. Which he's not Opium. He's just like his own dude.
Yes.
Right. So Afterlife. Yeat. I have the vinyl. I didn't bring it today. I brought a different one today. For pretty much, I want to say 8 out of 10 on my list. Yeah. I actually have the physical vinyl for it. So yeah, Yeat, Afterlife. That's my number 10. Okay.
I knew this would be on yours. This one's not on my list, but I knew this would be on your list. This is his best album. Yeah. And this kind of helped me round out the theme of a lot of this year, because a lot of artists put out their best work. You know, not all of them made my list, But I do want to shout out some artists who it's like, this is like your, your third, fourth, fifth project, and it's the best project you've ever put out. So Yeat did that this year.
Yeah. I mean, I would just want to give you, I guess I'll give like a couple of songs, a handful of songs. People are like, Schmunk.
Yeah.
That's with him and NBA Youngboy. He has that track Demon, which is really good. Or Demon Tide, sorry, which is really good. And then Bad Band Demon is also fantastic. I mean, I don't know how else to tell it to you. Every trap, toolkit, toolbox, everything is getting used on this project. And the production is like, if you want to bang this in your car while you're driving, or you're at a club, or you're hanging out with a bunch of friends, and you're just like trying to turn up, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is a soundtrack for that, for sure. My number 10 we did not review, and I'm gonna say this is not this artist's best project.
Okay,
but that's New Blue Sun, Andre 3000.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's your top 10. Okay,
I almost didn't put it on here, but I actually listened to this album quite a lot.
Okay, and
I had to just be real. I was like, my honorable mentions, a lot of your honorable mentions, but if I like, what am I listening to? I listen to this a lot when I read, or just put this on the background. So this album actually got a lot of play for me somehow. After I came on here joking that I listened to the first song, it took me all day. So somehow New Blue Sun, Under 3000. It is what it is. All I'll say. It's a good album, but it's very much background music, very calming. Like, there's times that you forget it's there, which I think is what it's trying to do. But it isn't the kind of, I guess, jazzy flutes that we thought would be just going crazy.
Right.
And I think that's why I like it. Is like, it's very, very subdued, very calm. So that's my number 10.
I'm genuinely surprised by that.
I'm surprised too. But once I was going through the albums, I said, this would be wrong of me, because this album has gotten way too many plays to not be included in my top 10. So yeah, that's in my top 10. What you got for number 9?
Okay, for number 9, I got Jessie Ware. That Feels Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Jessie Ware.
We've never done Jessie Ware project, eh?
We haven't. Jessie Ware, low-key one of my favorite artists. She is like the Jimmy Butler of music. I feel like anytime she puts out a project, it's total smoke. But it rarely
Butler of music.
But it rarely comes out, and nobody really thinks about Jessie Ware as like one of the better artists of our time. But then every time she pops out, she's popping out for real. You know what I mean?
Because she hasn't really missed. I can't think of a time she's really. But that Jimmy Butler comparison, I think, is actually great, because she seems to be like perpetually by the sideline. It's like her music should have her in the center. I think of someone like Charlie XCX is like, that time when Charlie XCX was really, really popping, Jessie should have had that spot. If you're asking me. So I think that's a great comparison. The music is as good as ever, but somehow she's on the sideline. Yeah,
so I mean, it's disco, it's pop. She has a great aesthetic of just like this. It's very breathy vocals, but all the songs sound like they're James Bond fight scenes. Right? So I think that her music is incredible. So songs like Pearls, I really liked. Freak Me Now, Beautiful People, These Lips. Love These Lips, bro. I love These Lips. So I think that album, fantastic, one of the best of the year. I feel like I saw it on some lists.
Some, but not as many.
Not as many, and the discourse, non-existent.
Yeah, 0%.
It's only people like you and me, and your, and, your writers and your Fantanos, et cetera, et cetera. Those people are like, yo, Jessie Ware, banging.
But she hasn't made it there yet.
Yeah, if you're going outside and be like, talk to somebody on the street, and you're like, yo, have you heard the latest Jessie Ware? They're like, who? So Jessie Ware, number 9. That Feels Good. Do it again.
Yeah, I think there's something I'm seeing with our top 10s is like critical acclaim versus popularity. Now, I think if you listen to the podcast, we lead more on critical acclaim.
Yeah.
I don't think we're the looking for the most popular album. So I'm kind of interested to see how much of our albums are some of the most streamed albums of the year.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Yeat, my Yeat thing, I've been saying Yeat since the jump. Okay.
Oh, no, if you're a fan of the show, you know that.
I've been saying Yeat's name for years now. And I'm like, yo, this guy is actually incredible. It's getting better and better. He's here featuring on Drake songs and stealing the show on the Drake song.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a joke. It's not a joke, people. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I understand what's happening. Trust me. Jessie Ware, Yeat, this is fire. All right, you're number 9.
Yeah, my number 9 is another album we didn't review.
Okay.
I think we almost did. We got close, but didn't review this one. And this album is a personal favorite for me because of the kind of uniqueness and production style. That's In Loving Memory, Sean Leon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
One of the most colorful albums of the whole year. Very different from what I'm used to from him. Like, I like Sean Leon when he's in his, like, rapping bag, when he's doing his, Gangstar impression or a Denzel Curry impression. But this was, like, him mostly singing, a few raps, but very, very colorful, very bright. So this album, will always stand out for me for that reason. If you haven't heard it yet, Loving Memory, Sean Leon. If you know Sean Leon's music at all, it's not what you think it is for sure. It's very different from that. I would say it's probably even lighter than Sampha's album.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would say like it's like Sampha's album has more heavy drums.
Okay.
Than Sean Leon's. Yeah. Like,
Wait, what are we?
Like by a mile. Like by a mile. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as drastic a change as Lil Yachty's change, but it's definitely like very different from what he's done before. So, In Loving Memory, Sean Leon, my number 9.
Okay. My number 8. This is the album where most people weren't even. It's not even on a list. Not even on a list. I think it's maybe on one Clash's list. Okay. Jackman by Jack Harlow.
Oh, I'm happy you have that on here. That's my honorable mentions, but I'm happy that you have that on here.
Jackman by Jack Harlow. Why did everybody stop talking about it?
I don't
remember when it came. Do you remember when it came out? Everybody was like, "I can't believe Jack Harlow just dropped the best album of the year."
And it lasted for 6 days, and then it was done with.
What? Why did we? Is it what happened? Is it because it didn't have a hit song? Is it because it's Jack Harlow? Like,
I think it's his fan base. I'm being honest. The people who I know in my life are huge Jack Harlow fans. Aren't really hip hop fans. A few of them are, but they're mostly people who are not as big hip hop fans and more big pop fans.
Yeah.
And so Jack Harlow kind of fits what they're looking for. So I think Jackman was more for the fans like us who want to hear him really rap. But I'm happy in that album because we'll talk about it later in terms of underrated, overrated, surprising albums. This one could have fit in a few spots.
Exactly. I think that this is his best album. Like, not even close. Right,
For sure.
It's not even close. It's a lot of songs, no hook, right? Just straight rapping about his life, things that are happening to him currently, things that happened to him in the past. Songs like Gang Gang, Gang, masterpiece in his collection.
Yes,
that's literally probably maybe the top 5 best songs he's ever made.
Facts.
It was so. Remember when we were talking about it on the pod, and then like months later, he made a music video. I feel like that happens with so many songs that we call out.
Yeah.
Where like there's a song that we really like, and then just like a month later, 2 months later, all of a sudden there's a music video.
Yeah.
Gunna. Remember when we were talking about Gunna?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways,
we're calling everything.
Yeah, Jackman. Remember when I talked about Massive and Drake? I'm not letting that go, people. When I said Massive and Drake,
you did say Massive and Drake. Yeah.
Jackman, Jack Harlow, lots of raps, no hook raps. Gang again, one of his best ever songs. Songs like Denver, like
love Denver.
It's so smooth. The rapping is great. Like I feel like we just like people just let it wash through them. I'm like, who's? I just kind of like lost. I have lost what happened to the acclaim that it came for. I looked at other, like I said, I before finalizing my list, I looked at other lists.
Yeah.
Just to see, I'm like, did I just like totally forget something?
Did you miss something? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just started like Control F, Jack Harlow.
And just like found.
You get that ding sound on Google Chrome, and literally everywhere I went wasn't even on the list. And I'm like, so I guess Jack Harlow, I guess it just sucked. Like I don't.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I don't get it. We've rated it since it came out, and then when I went back to it and listened to it, I'm like, this thing still slaps.
That was one of the ones I had to re-listen to as well. I was like, I remember we liked this. I'm still bumping Denver. I'm still bumping Gang.
Yeah.
Like, let me go back and check. Nope, still good.
It's still good. Yeah.
So this is one where I think the music community dropped the ball.
Right.
And I'm seeing this thing now where I think that a lot of these albums are going to be seen so differently, like, once their career moves past this point. You know, I think about an album like Faces from Mac Miller.
Yeah.
When that album came out, people were not talking about it. And that album, people consider now still one of his best projects. And so I think Jackman is going to have a life like that where okay, we need more. Clearly, we need more hits. I didn't think we needed more hits from Jack, but everyone needs more hits.
Yeah.
So I think looking back, and we'll get more love.
Yeah, it's just a weird scenario for me. So I'll be the person that stands on the hill. I've done that plenty of times on this podcast.
Yeah.
I will be the person that stands on the hill and be like, yo, this is good. Everybody else, you guys are tripping. This is one of the best. It's one of the best rap albums this year.
For sure.
Right? And I definitely think it's one of the best albums that came out in 2023. I will die on this hill alone.
No, that's not even questionable. I think that's easily one of the best rap albums. I'm surprised it didn't get nominated for a Grammy. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
To me, this is like Scary Hours 3 before Scary Hours 3. We're talking about this year, like Jack did it first. You know, everyone's talking about how Jack copies Drake.
Yeah.
In this instance,
Jack was there first.
Because we've always wanted Drake to drop an album like that, and he hasn't. So yeah. I like you had that in there.
Okay, what about you?
My number 8, this was probably my biggest question to actually put on the list.
Ooh.
And it moved around a few times. I released this album twice, actually. That's Let's Start Here, Lil Yachty.
Really? Yeah, you liked it a lot more than I did.
I did. I think this is another album where the context of the project kind of fucks it up in a sense where, you know, if this has been a faceless artist, so to speak, we would like this album a lot more. And I kind of forgot about all the help he had, all the other voices in the project that really like rounded it out. So this one is a number 8 for me. I think this is the album that, you know, some people are like, oh, I don't know about this stuff. And others are kind of like, oh, this is revolutionary. Revolutionary, I can't get with. Can't get the revolutionary. But in terms of making a big switch into his career and this basically being like not rap at all,
yeah,
you know, big move. You gave it 7.5.
Yeah,
I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think my thing is like I like Jack. I like Tame Impala too. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that I think it is really good. I was surprised. I'm genuinely surprised that he was able to make this album, this transition into this type of music.
You didn't know he had it in him.
No, genuinely no. So for him to make that switch up was cool, and I think that he kind of had that shine on him. They're like, oh my god, can you believe Lil Yachty made this album?
Yeah.
So I do feel like people are a little bit, a little stunned, a little stunned by that. Whoa, I can't believe that this actually exists. I'm counting you as one of those people.
I was not as stunned as you. I kind of knew Yachty was like this, even though I was never a Yachty fan for a long time. But I'm surprised. I did not see him doing basically like, a credible psychedelic rock album. Like, did not see that coming.
Yeah, credible. Yeah, like it's actually like this is like legitimate.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I like about it is, if you can do a sound credibly, if I'm a fan of that sound, I'm gonna be a fan of the project. Right. It's not as good as the originals people doing that sound, but listen, no secret here. Tame Impala has not put out an album like Currents since Currents. And so this is probably the closest thing since Currents to Currents.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's high praise. Look at we got Chris, our producer. His eyebrows raised on that one. That's
what we do it for. We got those eyebrows raised.
Oh my god. Okay. So I'm on number 7, right? Number 7. This is one that I think a lot of people have on their list. This one's kind of like is in there with a bullet. Guts, Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah, not on my list.
Not on your list,
but that's on a lot of lists.
Yeah,
that's just I thought the music was good, but I'm just not banging that. Like there's a lot of these songs that's like they're good if they come on, and I'm cool to sing along if they come on. But I'm not getting in the whip right away and throwing on Vampire. Yeah. So this one I saw on a lot of lists. Obviously, very credible to be here.
Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo, Guts. This is her second album. Pop, punk. It's a little, but there's also the ballads. She also has the Taylor Swift ballads on there.
Yeah.
I do think we talked about it on both of her reviews, where it's like her battle between Taylor Swift and Avril Lavine.
Yep.
The Avril Lavigne side is winning, which we wanted.
Big winning.
So I'm hype on this album. I do think it's an evolution of her style. I do think her like screaming on some of the songs was something that she would not do on Sour.
No.
And it does show her evolution like as a rock artist to be able to like scream, and people are like, this is happening. And it's not like, oh my God, can you believe that she did that? Or like, oh, this ruins the song. Like it's a real thing for her.
Yeah.
Right? So songs like Vampire, even though I think it's probably the most overplayed song this year, great song, but I love All American Bitch, you know. Bad Idea, right?
Yeah, that's a banger.
That's a banger, right? So Get Him Back is a little, you know, like it's a little cheesy, but I get it. And yeah, Love is Embarrassing. So she got great songs on there. You know, the critical acclaim is there. One of the biggest artists of the 2020s, basically.
So far, yeah.
So she's doing good work. I do like that the Avril Lavigne side is winning. Okay.
Yes.
I want to see her. You know, I think that she's in a nice spot right now where she's able to translate the Taylor Swift songwriting into the Avril Lavigne songs.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes she's just gonna do a ballad, and we gotta accept that. The thing is, the ballads are good though.
Yeah, you're the one who doesn't like the ballads. I got no problem with them.
The ballads are good, but I'm just like,
rather not.
It's just like I prefer the Avril Lavigne style of music, but I still respect the ballads.
Yes.
Right. But I just want more Avril Lavigne. But where she is right now, she's satisfying everybody. Right.
She's in a good spot. What I say for someone like her is like, not everyone loves pop music. Some people, they're just totally averse to pop music. If you're one of the biggest pop artists, you're just flying over a lot of heads. But when some of your favorite artists are the pop star of the time, that's like the best time.
I know, that's the juice, bro.
You know, and that's Olivia Rodrigo is like, I love to see her make these pop songs than someone else. You know, I trust them in her hands than someone else. So yeah, she might not be everyone's favorite, but you can't deny the talent.
Yeah,
there.
she's young. She's like 21.
Yeah, 21, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got FU to her. You know, she is able to. I feel like she is like singing about like sexuality in a way that is like I feel like it doesn't stretch outside of her music.
Yeah, and
it doesn't like sound weird. It just sounds like normal. You're 20 something.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we rap about, sing about,
yeah,
make rock music about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, etc. Right. So I think that her perspective on relationships is very 20 something.
Yes,
which I enjoy. Because it's kind of like a flashback.
Yeah.
Like a young 20-something though.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still 20-somethings, but like
she's fresh.
But like a 21-year-old versus views on relationships. So I think that her songwriting is really good. The really rock songs are really good. It's just really good, bro. Like it's really good, and it's just like a natural evolution on the previous album, Guts. So yeah, it's my top 7, number 7.
My number 7, this is the album we actually did review. Okay. We both gave this album a pretty good score, and this one probably almost didn't make the list because I just forgot this album almost existed. That's K Tremine, K Tronada, Amine.
Okay, that's not on my list.
Yeah, this
they have 2 different lists this year for real.
No, 100% 2 different lists. This is I didn't call this project most underrated because a lot of people love this project, but if there wasn't so much love, this could be most underrated project because this to me is one of the clearest like no skips of the year in terms of like you can play it all the way through and it's a vibe all the way through. And I feel like, you know, in parts of the world where it's still summertime, they're still playing this in this project. You know, in Toronto where it's cold and it gets dark at 3:45, very different energy, but this album kind of fitting the energy in so much different ways, so much different kinds of rapping on here, some singing on here. Yeah. This is kind of the kind of project we wanted from K Tronada with someone. Yep. I don't think we wanted Amine, if I'm being honest. I don't think people were saying that.
Yeah, they weren't picking Amine. But he was doing his thing.
No, and I think it obviously worked out. K Tronada is actually planning to drop a new album in 2024. Hopefully we can review that. But this is the kind of project you'd hope for when you say K Tronada producing, someone versatile on the vocals. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Our scores, you gave it an 8.
Yeah.
I gave it 8.5.
Yeah, so it was. That's what I'm saying. It was good. He was doing his thing. I do think that that summer vibe is something that was really people are building on that summer vibe a lot this year.
Yes,
like there's a lot of albums that came out where I'm like, oh, this is perfect for June, July. Then I'm like, oh, this is perfect for June, July, and then I'm like, this is perfect for June, July. So I think that tropical like house sound that he was going for was fantastic. I would love to hear. You know who I'd really like to hear him work with, who was actually good with tropical house? Justin Bieber.
Yeah, that would be good.
Right? Because Justin Bieber had like that whole time, like the mid 2010s.
That Purpose era?
Yeah, where he was really, really on tropical house, but it was more, it was almost like big room house. I
wouldn't rule that out. That can still happen. I wouldn't rule that out.
They're both Canadian. Shout out, I think people don't know that. K Tronada Canadian.
Yeah, people might not know that. That's true. That's true.
So there is definitely a through line there because remember when Drake I think Drake did Pop Star, and Justin Bieber was just like the star in the music video. So, these people know each other. Trust me.
For sure.
Yeah, trust me.
For sure.
So yeah, I like that album a lot.
What do you got for number 6?
Number 6. Okay. So number 7, I had Olivia Rodrigo with Guts. Number 6 is basically the artist / group that inspires her work. Paramore. This is why.
I was wondering when this is gonna show up.
I confused on how good it is still. Because I didn't think that they really had like another really great album in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I hate to be that person, but I was like, oh yeah, Paramore.
You're not the only one. Even the Paramore diehards are kind of surprised. You got to be real.
Yeah, I thought it just was kind of like over for them as like being cool or being good. Like I thought it was over for them, like really being good.
Yeah.
They were kind of like walking into this weird pop realm that didn't really suit them, but they felt the need to be there. And then also Hayley Williams' like solo music is much more dark.
Yeah.
So it was just like in a weird space overall.
It seemed like that was where we were gonna be.
Yeah. So this is why this is more of like it's happy but mature, and it's like a lot of the song This Is Why is really good.
Yeah.
I think that the music overall is basically the fully realized version of what Paramore is at this time, which they're also on hiatus. They fulfilled their like contract like with their label, and they're totally independent, quotation marks independent.
Hiatus.
Yeah, allegedly. But bands do end though. It's different. In hip hop, rappers don't really stop rapping, but bands do.
Paramore already ended, if we're being honest. Like, I know they didn't officially end, but ostensibly we all thought they were over with. So
yeah, we did.
The fact that we have this resurrection is like, when is it going to end at this point?
Yeah.
And you're right. Didn't see how good this album was going to be. This was probably the main album I didn't include just because I haven't listened to it as much over the year. But when I went back to listen to it, I was like, yeah, like more than half the album I have like added to my liked songs.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one that I feel like should have been higher on a lot of lists. But we talked about this when this project came out of like, rock is not the mainstream anymore. You know,
Yeah.
It's like pop, country, hip hop, and then everything else is kind of on the periphery. And now you got like R&B and rock on the periphery, which, you know, in the early 2000s, those were both the main genres.
Yeah.
But that stood out throughout the rest of the year. That continued. We didn't have much rock music after this. This remained one of the like most prominent rock albums of the year. So I think we kind of called our shot with that one because we were like, will there be more of this? Will it be more the mainstream?
Yeah.
And the answer was no.
Yeah, I think rock music is definitely more of a periphery thing now. It's still dropping good music, but you got to be in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And if you're, I would say that we're here in the music, you know, like music space, but when hip hop is at the center of it, and to be honest with you, the people who make hip hop look like you and me, it's gonna be a lot easier to be focused on that genre. Rock is still making things, right? But it's not as prominent. Not that many people are listening to it, but people were listening to this Paramore album, bro.
Yes.
This is why, like I said, the news is really good. C'est comme ça. Love that song. Fucking love that song, right? And then even like songs like Crave, right? So a lot of like, you know, again, a maturation of their sound, maturation of their lyrics. It's a lot of, you know, if it's Hayley Williams, there's always going to be FU to it. But it's smoother than any of their other work. And there's like actual French in their music now, which is like a little
out
bit
of nowhere. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So it's really good. It's great. Probably maybe it's like their second or third best album.
It's definitely top 3. I feel like, yeah, like, and last thing is like, you were right about being so surprised. No one could have foresaw them putting out a project that would enter into some of their best albums. Like, no one saw that coming.
Not at all.
This next one, my number 6. This is a personal for me because I said this before. This is probably the album I listened to the most, top to bottom, the entire year. On quality, I couldn't put it in the top 5. This is as high as it realistically could have been. I told them, Burna Boy, you gave it 6.5. I gave this an 8. And I actually feel vindicated about this project because what I said at the time was, you know, he has these kind of like pseudo hip hop tracks. Like Top of the World, like City Boys, that I'm not really there for. That's not the Burna Boy that I want to hear. And I think that really turned a lot of people off because those were the singles. And since then, when I've been out, I've seen kind of the B-sides, we'll call them, Giza, Day Play, Get More Play Out, and be a huge part of the vibe. So
Right.
I think, he probably gained some new fans with those hip-hop-y tracks that we didn't love. And then he still gave a lot of stuff that could still play in the party. So I told them, Burna Boy, yeah, this is an album that I was listening to a whole lot. But, I can be real that it's not one of the best albums of the year.
Yeah, I think that our lists are. I think this is the most it's ever. We've had a different song,
For sure.
or a different album all the way up to right now. I do think that the Burna Boy album, I didn't love it as much. I don't get why you love it as much, to be quite honest. Maybe the B-sides are just like so much juicier for everybody else. But I do respect his expansion via hip hop. I remember in that YouTube video, in the comments, people were coming for me in the comments. Okay, they were like, "Burna Boy's been making hip hop music. Where's this guy been?" Et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Okay,
you did say you were a new Burna Boy fan in a sense.
Exactly. It's like, sure, okay, fine. But does it stand up to the hip hop music that's being made today?
No.
That's where it comes from with me. So
Grammy nominated in the hip hop category.
I don't understand, but
Yeah, different podcast. different podcast.
Okay. Do you have anything else for Burna Boy? Or
No, we can move on.
Okay. My number 5. This one, I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot about until I want to say 2 weeks ago, when I was starting to do this like list.
Yeah.
Where I really came back to it. I'm like, I think it's Amare.
Yep.
Fountain Baby. Okay.
I saw that. I was so happy to see that on a lot of lists. So happy to see that.
This album slaps like crazy. I think that what is the thing that makes it not like top 3 or top 4 for me is that there is like one or two like obvious flubs on it, right? I think that portion of like sex, violence, and suicide, like the back end, I'm like, this is not good. But everything, like genuinely.
Done with that. Yeah,
genuinely. But everything else, I mean, like Angels in Tibet or like
Banger.
Co-Star, Princess Going Digital, Big Step Up, where it's like, it's Afro beats, but there's also an electronic version to it. And it's, if you're not dancing, if your body doesn't just like automatically move, you're dead. You're just dead. Because I don't understand how you can listen to her music and not want to dance. I'll be like, I was listening to it driving in the car, I was dancing in the car, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think that this album, I looked at the other list.
Yeah.
This was in the top 3 for a lot of people. And I can understand why, because this shit is brain candy when you're listening to it. The Afro beats, and I think it's like Alte is also like the name of the genre.
Yeah.
That it's just like, oh my God, like you're hearing it and you're just like, you're absorbing so many different instruments. I mean, like when you get to this point of like Wasted Eyes and like Counterfeit, where it's that more like Asian influence, like East Asian or even Arab influences to it, right? Like the background vocals or the drums that are being used in it, or I think like even the strings. I think it's like a sitar. It's just like so many different elements, so many different elements, so many different like styles of drums, everything. There's so much everything on it.
There's a lot of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of everything on it, and it's amazing. And I think that one song with that like obvious flub, and like I don't think that all the songs connect to each other is what holds it back from top 3 or top 4 for me. But other than that, like those songs on the individual basis, I'm like, yo, this shit is incredible. Incredible.
She's here. Like this is one of the ones, and apologize to Mark, I don't have it in my top 10. But this is one of the ones where I was so happy to see this on people's list because, this sound being considered something that can be critically acclaimed is like a huge step for where we are musically in terms of how we talk about music. If this was, 5-10 years ago,
it's invisible,
you know? And so she's still not a mainstream artist, but all this critical acclaim I think will be huge for her.
Yeah.
And then of course, this is where she's kind of been, I want to say throughout the year. She was on Janelle Monáe's project. She's on the Kate project. She's on Stormzy's project. She's on the new Boss project.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the versatility that she brings to a track and to an album where, you know, this guy's only up for her. So I'm happy that you mentioned her. She was on my honorable mention list where I'm like, I think Demar's gonna name some of these people. So we can leave it. So I'm happy that she got her love.
Yeah, I think that her music, right, is like if Doja Cat's music went the other way and became more expansive versus where Doja Cat's become, I would say, more regressive and just like singular in the genre, right? She makes just like...
You think Doja Cat could get here?
Yeah, not like this though.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say
not this explosive, not like this where I feel like she just like, you know, when I listen to this album, it's like just like every color of the rainbow is just like exploding in front of you.
You know what I used to call her album?
What?
I think it's what people thought Azealia Banks was gonna be. I think when I know people who I know people who are still fans of her, but people who I know who are fans of her, this is what I picture they think Azealia Banks is gonna become. You know? So yeah, I think she's unique in a special way.
Yes.
And I'm just excited for her to get, you know, her love. She's your number 5?
Yeah, and I would say, like if you like 2000s hip hop, where it was starting to get more like, it was again using like East Asian, South Asian influences, it's like kind of similar in that way.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So like that's like if I'm recommending it to somebody. I'm like, if you're a hip hop fan, I'm like, if you like that 2000s like production where it was starting to get East Asian, South Asian, it's kind of like that style of production is like adopted here. Like you can see the through lines.
You can see the parts of it. Yeah. The colorful, I like that you said that. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
It's very dancey.
Yeah.
Like there's just no like if you're too cool to dance for this, I don't know.
Again, if you're too cool or if you're not moving to this album, you're dead. Because like I don't understand. I don't understand how you can't be moving.
Now we're getting to the top 5.
Yeah.
This one was a late addition because this album I actually have a few songs from it that I listen to pretty frequently. But the album as a whole, I had to go back and be like, okay, I like these 3 or 4 songs I listen to basically all the time. But is this album as a whole really good? And you know, I went back and the answer was yes. My Soft Machine, Arlo Parks. We both gave it an 8.5.
Yeah.
I would say like one of the most forgotten albums of the year, even by us. Like we literally almost never talked about it, you know, past the review. I have again the songs I listen to. And it's crazy because I have our love list from the review.
Yeah.
None of the songs in the love list are the songs I listen to right now,
really?
like on a current basis. So to go back and rehear those, I'm like, yeah, this makes so much sense why we gave this such a high score. But Arlo Parks is, and I think everyone in my top 5 is part of this group, so I like that she's in this as well. But everyone in this group, including Arlo Parks, is like every project they put out has a case for being one of the best albums of the year. Yeah, they've been consistent with their music. They're not putting out bad songs on this project. There's not these, you know, attempts that go haywire. You know, it's going to be solid every time. So Arlo Parks, My Soft Machine, my number 5.
Yeah, the songwriting is still fantastic.
Yeah.
I do think that the production is, again, more expansive, right? Shout out to Romil, Brockhampton, Brockhampton in the building, who is helping produce some of the songs. I think that Arlo Parks, I don't know. I think it never, like, I do like it a lot, obviously. I think it's because Arlo Parks is overall, like as a person and her music, like everything about her is extremely understated.
Yes.
Right? Like everything she does is like, I'm just making my music in my place over here. Get away from me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and if you like it, you like it. Otherwise, like, I don't care, you know? And I think that like overall persona combined with her style of music and also like what she like sings about is very understated. So I feel like it kind of just like puts itself in its own like little corner.
100%.
And you have to make sure to check on the corner and be like, oh yeah.
You gotta, it's a shadowy corner.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you check on it and be like, yeah, it's still great. But it did not make my top 10.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised, honestly. Like, this is the forgotten album of the year.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree because I don't really remember anybody really talking about it at all.
I didn't see it on any list. I only found this just looking back at our old podcast, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that her first album, Clouds and Sunbeams, which was legit like a masterpiece.
That's like an actual, like, perfect album.
Yeah, like legit like a masterpiece. I think it just overshadows it.
Yeah.
right? Where I'm like, Collapse in Sunbeams, like, oh my God, I cannot believe this shit.
Mhm.
And then this one comes out and you're like, it's still very good. But it's not Collapse in Sunbeams. You know, and I think that's she's still suffering a little bit from success. But it's definitely phenomenal. Definitely phenomenal. Okay. My next one, number 4. Yeah, number 4. Okay. This is something that I gave a super high rating when we reviewed it. Came back to it and I'm like, still fire. Janelle Monáe, The Age of Pleasure.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna have this on your list.
The Age of Pleasure. I think that this is basically the other side of the coin of the Amare album. Literally, it's like similar like tropical feel, right? But with Janelle Monáe, it's like she is shifting between like reggae and like dance hall and R&B, where Amare was more like, you know, it was Afro beats, sometimes pop music, electronic music, right? And they still have that similar sonic feel though. The sonic feel is still like a summery vibe.
Yes.
Amare's is more like a party. And then The Age of Pleasure is more like a kickback or a pool party, right? So I think that what made it stand out over the previous Amare's album for me is that first of all the songs just like mesh together perfectly.
Okay.
Right? And there's no obvious flub, but there's no obvious banger. There's no obvious banger, but there's no obvious flub. And I think that her collaborations, right, are really, really good. The is it Doichi? Dochi. I don't know why I always butcher her name. Dochi is the feature. Dochi is featured.
Phenomenal?
So phenomenal. So good. Phenomenal. Hot, right? Hot is really good. French 75 is really good. Water Slide, right? I think there's lots of great tracks on it. And again, they all mesh together. And it's just like perfect summer vibe, laid back summer vibe, where the other one, right, again, is like Fountain Baby is more like, you know, summer party.
Yes.
Right? So that's the difference. But yeah, this for me, honestly, if you want to come to me and be like, you should have flipped him, and be like, I'll flip it for you right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's that easy for me, seriously. These 4 and 5, interchangeable. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that said flip him. I'd be like, okay, I'll do it right now.
I saw this on a lot of lists, and I was like, maybe I gotta consider it. Maybe I'm the one who's crazy. I still don't feel that way. This is one we're just gonna disagree on. I still like this album, but this didn't even come into my kind of
not even considered.
Not even honorable mention. This feels like the kind of music that the women in my spin class will listen to.
Oh my God.
Like, you know, we'll try and put on actual dance hall or actual soca or actual reggae, and they'll ask for the Janelle Monáe. That's what this gives to me. But I think I still stand by this, where this album is still good, but, you know, talk about the Nicki project, the dancehall song on there you don't like.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a different sensibility of the kind of dancehall that I like compared to the kind of dancehall that you like. So this is more, you know, for your sensibility, not as much for mine. I'm seeing a theme here. I feel like my albums are very calm. And you got a lot of energy.
This is my one calm album, The Age of Pleasure. Everything else
calm. Like, yeah, you got a lot of energy. This album we didn't review, my number 4, and that's Gold, Cleo Soul. I because we didn't review it, I literally almost forgot about the album as a whole.
Yeah.
But everyone knows how I feel about Cleo Soul. We don't even got to spend time here. This is not as good as I think as her past project. I still think Mother is her best album. And so, you know, I think kind of like Arlo Parks, she's living in the shadow of Mother and Rose in the Dark.
Yeah.
Heaven, the album she dropped right before Gold, you know.
Oh yeah, because she was dropping multiple projects. That's why. She
did a double. So I think honestly either of those can fit in here. I like the sound on Gold more. Gold is more that pseudo reggae sound. A lot of those heavy bass guitars. So this to me is why I chose Gold over Heaven. But both are really good projects. Almost not, I won't say interchangeable, but both are top 10 worthy.
Right.
And honestly, we still have not reviewed a Cleo Soul project.
I know.
I think we at some point we were gonna have to. But when I get to our Who to Watch in 2024, maybe Cleo Soul will be there because we haven't reviewed her.
Yeah.
But 4 Gold, Cleo Soul, really great project.
Okay. So for my next one, right now we're in the top 3. Now these are like the undisputed, you know, type of champions. You know what I mean?
I feel like we're gonna have some overlap now. We haven't had much going forward,
yeah,
but we're gonna have some overlap now.
Yeah, I would say that there's when it comparing our two lists, you can see that there's been a huge diversity of really, really good music that came out this year.
Yes.
And I think that we were talking about, and this is a conversation that's been going on all year about let's say the recession of hip hop.
Yes.
We are living through it.
Yeah.
And these two top 10 lists, evidence of it, where I think I have Yeat and Jack Harlow on mine, right?
I have 3 hip hop artists who dropped non-hip hop albums.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I see where I'm at. And K-Tramine's close. K-Tramine's hip hop adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mine's rapping on there. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, we're seeing a plethora of different, genres and stuff getting their shine. We're not even saying it's like, oh, it's all right. No, this shit slaps and needs to be here. So for number 3, another one where this shit slaps and needs to be here.
Yeah.
Pink Panthers. Heaven Knows.
Oh, I didn't have this on mine. But
That's not on your list? How is this not on your list? I'm actually shocked by that.
She's number 11. She's literally number 11. Yeah,
wow.
I know.
You know what? I think I've always been more up on Pink Panthers than you.
Oh,
just
for sure.
Overall. But again, I'm winning. I'm winning.
She's killing it. She's killing it.
I've been more up on Pink Panthers than you, and she's only proved me correct at every turn. So I don't feel any need to come down. Heaven Knows it's technically her debut album.
Yes.
Right. Which is a response to Hell With It, which I have on vinyl. I went to England, to a record store in England, just to get it. That's not actually true, but I did get it from England. So Heaven Knows it's another extension on what she's already doing, which is like drum and bass, UK garage. But now all of the songs are regularly produced. Like they're, I think before in her previous work, it was like very, very, very sample heavy, recognizable samples too. But her genre of music that she was making was so far away from what anybody else is popular for currently that she was like, I don't want to say she was getting away with it, but it was much more palatable because it was so divergent from everything else that she was really able to do that and be totally well regarded. Now it's like, I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 samples
barely
on this project, and it's mostly what she's trying to figure out. Okay, what is it Pink Panthers' music actually sound like? Like what is my real sound? Like my sound, not a construction of other people's, and my sound. And this is basically, drum and bass. It's still lighthearted production, but with her somber lyrics, still rapping about sadness, or not rapping, singing about sadness, still singing about situations where how come I wasn't the person that was picked and it was somebody else. There's even that one song where she is singing about being the person in the crowd.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she is now at the point now where she is songwriting about things that don't even exist to her, just like a scenario, which is a development for her music, I would say. And I think that, overall, her combination with Central C on Nice to Meet You was unexpected.
Yes.
Unorthodox, but works. And I think that is like the story of Pink Panthers' career, basically. Unorthodox, but it works. Like her combo on Boy's a Liar with the one and only Ice Spice, my other girl that I'm up on. And again, I'm winning because we're about to enter year 2 of Ice Spice. Thank you very much. And it seems obvious now, right? Seems obvious. I mean, one girl hot on the internet, other girl hot on the internet, just somebody, literally one person sent a DM to the other person, and that's how the song exists currently. Yeah. Okay. So it seems obvious now. It's like, of course, you're going to have Pink Panthers, Ice Spice. They're both hot on the internet. They're both doing crazy shit. They're all on a track. But that shit is a banger. Undeniable.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
Drink what Kool-Aid? What Kool-Aid? Like I said, I'm winning.
No,
I'm winning.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
I'm winning. The shit was chart topping. It was on every TikTok. It was everywhere. So with that, I think that songs like even Mosquito, which is one of the, I would say a song that was like some people were really looking forward to, and she followed through on it with the single. The music video is pretty good too. I just think overall, it slaps.
And her sound is still unique. I think that's one thing that's cool is that even though she did switch up her sound a bit, it is still unique.
Yes.
This is probably one of the albums that, well, it's my number 11, so, Andre 3000 kicked her out of the top 10.
I can't believe that. What the fuck?
But she would have been higher on my Spotify Wrapped if she had dropped earlier in the year because I listen to a lot of these songs pretty often.
Yeah, me too.
And then I'm sure I'm assuming this is not on your list, but Kalila, who's on the project, also saw on a lot of lists.
Yeah, Ruth Raven.
Yeah, that's someone who I feel like would have been on a lot of lists. This next person I have at number 3.
Okay.
This is someone who I've seen on a bunch of lists. And I would say all 3 of these next projects I have, as soon as these projects came out, within 48 hours, it was like album of the year, album of the year, album of the year. That's Sampha Lahai.
Oh.
I'm assuming you have this higher on your list, so we'll save that.
Okay.
We'll save that. And did you just say you're number 3?
Yeah, it is.
So we'll go to my number 2 then.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Red Moon and Venus, Kali
Okay,
Uchis.
that's my number 2 here. So let's do it right now.
Yeah, we both gave it a 9. Literally in the notes, album of the year candidate right away. This is one of the most truest albums of the year for me because every time you listen to it, you're like, yep, this is good. Yep. So I have nothing else to say really. Like if you haven't heard this project, Red Moon and Venus, get your whole life together. This is again a no skips to me.
Yeah, it is.
This album's a no skips. And
a pretty obvious one too.
A pretty obvious one. And I think the difference between her album and an album like Soft Machine or Arlo Parks or Gold with Cleo Soul is that she has that like calm energy. It's very soft, very easy to listen to, but it doesn't get monotonous, Right. And she has these like bigger, higher moments where it makes the album kind of like, be easier to listen to even more than it already is, which those albums are missing. So, similar to Lahai from Sampha, she does a good mix of kind of keeping it like chill, but let's her feet off the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this album.
Yeah, me too. I think it was my album of the year for most of the year.
Yeah.
And it was pretty obvious. I mean, songs like Love Between, where
Love Between is better now somehow.
Yeah, Kali Uchis still has that ability to make the song feel like it's ice cream melting all the time, right?
Every time.
She's still, and she's really the only person that knows how to do that. Like nobody else really emulates what she does.
She's gatekeeping.
Right? Where every time you listen to the song, it's like you're standing still. You're like a wax figure, and by the end of the song, you've melted into a puddle.
Yeah.
Right? And she's been able to do that since her career started. And I think that Love Between or even Love Between, I Wish You Rose is another good one.
Yeah.
And even Hasta Cuando.
Yeah.
My Spanish is really bad.
Hasta Cuando, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the songs just like have that melting effect that just nobody has been able to replicate except for her. And it's so obviously so good. I mean, even that song Fantasy with Don Toliver,
that's a good one.
Is a great track. And it's also that song where it's like, she's or on All Mine. I think it's on that song or All Mine where she's like singing and then like the song ends and you hear like that car like rush through and she's like, yeah, that's it, it's over. And then like she gets off in the car. So there's even that those like little artistic elements inside of it.
That's Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love it, bro. It's so fucking good. Like it's unbelievable how good it is.
Her ability to make you feel like you're melting without putting you to sleep.
Yeah.
Is unreal. I don't even know how that's even a thing because the ability she has to make it feel like, it's ice cream melting, like you said, that is like the perfect music to fall asleep to. And somehow she keeps you up. So, yeah, if you somehow haven't heard this album yet, I know some people aren't up on Kali Uchis. This is the clear sign, okay? Like
this is number 2 on the list, bro.
For both of us.
Yeah.
For both of us. So, clear. Okay, let's hear your number 1.
Number 1, like you said, somehow you have it at number 3. I don't understand. Sampha Lahai. I want to say something right now. I want to revise my rating on this. This is a 10 out of 10. Okay.
Wow.
I think my one thing that was holding it back from being a 10 out of 10 when I did the review was like, there isn't the one standout song, right? That I can be like, yo, here, take this. And then this is the song that represents everything that's happening. This is going to be the thing that pulls you in, et cetera, et cetera. I found that song, right? I found that song and I know that song and it's Suspended.
Okay, it was always Suspended.
But I think I was lower on Suspended in the sense that I'm like, I don't know if it's enough to bring you in, But then when I just hear it, right, like I just would just play it, I'm like, this song is crack, bro. Like, it's so good. His ability overall to traverse different genres is so crazy because he's kind of, you would consider him like a singer-songwriter type.
Yeah.
But then he's like singer-songwriter, and then it's like mostly low-key electronic music. Right? He's doing like this it's not trip hop, it's more of like a I don't know. It's kind of this was also what happened on the podcast. We were like, we can't really fully define.
How many months later? Still no definition.
Still can't really define the type of genre of music that he's making. But the fact that we're still at this point where I'm like, I don't know what genre of music this fully is, but it's incredible, is again what I'm like, this is a 10 out of 10. This is my number one. If you are going to listen to just one album this year,
you think this would be the one?
I want you to listen to this album because it's so incredible.
I got to echo all of that. I think that this is, again, more of a UK thing because electronic music just permeates through so much of their music more than it does here. So, yeah, this album is really good. If some people, I think this is their first time really listening to Sampha. And so I think that's a big part of like why this album has been so greatly reviewed. You know, it's been, 5 years since the last project?
Yeah, and he's been featured on like doing stuff with Drake and other people and Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. So he's been in places like and that's the thing that's also like so like crazy to me. Like he has some of the best connections, like biggest connections, not on the project. It's like fuck out of here, Drake, Kendrick Lamar. I don't need you, bro. I'm gonna do my shit by myself. I think that just like songs like, again, Spirit 2.0, Stereo Color Cloud.
Yes.
Where it's just like, you know, that distortion, but that purposeful distortion that's happening on it. You know, Jonathan L. Siegel, the songwriting on that, like the songwriting on this is so beautiful. It's sad, but it's also hopeful at times.
Yes.
And like you feel like there's like a healing, like his music is like a healing effect. Right? Like it's so like you're standing outside in like the blue sky. It's just like the cover. It's literally just like the cover. And it's like that healing, that recovery, you know, that pensiveness is just so beautiful, so peaceful to listen to.
It's a healing project, for sure.
It's so incredible, man. It's so good. And it's legitimate 10 out of 10.
I think that something I've been thinking about with all these projects is, you know, back in the day, from the considered an album, either it had to be 10 songs or 40 minutes. Yeah. Now, a lot of the projects we have reviewed are either one or the other. You know, High is one of the few that is both. But I thought about that a lot with making this top 10 because, you know, obviously we don't have Split Decisions on here. We don't have
those are EPs though. Split Decision EP.
Well, we reviewed those projects. So yeah, you know, I'm like, those definitely couldn't be on here, and New Jeans as well.
That's an EP, because that would have made the list very easily for me. I'm going to be honest with you.
Like 15 minutes, definitely an EP. But I think Sam's one of the few artists who still believes in kind of the old school idea of a project and making it full, and that's clear all over the thing. This is an album. Like, there's a lot of good songs individually. This is one of the few projects here. This is completely an album all the way through. My number one, not Sampha, not La High. Not even on your top 10. Not even on your top 10.
It is.
Larger Than Life, Brent Faiyaz.
Oh. You're blinded by fandom, bro.
This guy took the headphones off. This was a project that I obviously, you know, huge fan, listened to a lot. Yeah. But at first I was kind of like, is this actually better than Kali Uchis' album? Or is it better than Sampha's album?
Is it better than Wasteland?
Oh, for sure.
It's better than Wasteland?
Easily better than Wasteland.
Wow.
Easier than Wasteland for sure.
Okay.
And I did an interview recently where someone asked me who my favorite R&B artist. It was for Soul Series. And I said, you know, D'Angelo, Maxwell, Sade, Erica. Now, I'm gonna read a sentence from this write-up in Variety that's talking about the project. They said, you know, movement spawned by a group of brilliant and musically organic artists like D'Angelo, Maxwell, Erykah Badu, and others. Okay. You know, somehow it fits all together. But I think, you know, what makes this project album of the year for me is this is probably the most fun listen of all the good albums. Yeah. You know, like you're talking about albums that are literally the best projects. This is the most fun listen of all of those. Like if someone is not, a music nerd like us, doesn't want to hear about that instrument they can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Isn't into Sampha's amazing songwriting.
Yeah.
This is the album that you show them. And so for me, that's a huge part of deciding what the album of the year is. We are like kind of deciding what's critically acclaimed, what's the best music, so to speak. But I think there has to be a bit of like appealing to the average listener, Not everyone knows how great Joe Ingles is, but it's easy to tell how good LeBron James is. And so that for me makes this the album of the year.
Wow.
The singles still hit. There's like, Best Time, Where You At, Belong to You, Last One Left. This album still, when you play it all the way through, you're like, yeah, like this still hits. I gave it a 9. You gave it an 8.5.
Yeah.
I feel like those scores still seem, accurate. And this is also a project that I feel like, I don't know if this is his best project to me personally, but this is the most different project he's had from what his sound has been before. And so, I'm giving him some points for that. So Brent Faiyaz, Larger Than Life, #1 album of the year.
I see it. I'll be honest with you. This is my honorable mention. One of my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Right? So it's not like I discarded it.
This is your Pink Pantheress.
No. Well, yeah, I guess.
That was my number 11 was Pink Pantheress. So.
Yeah. I guess. Right? I think that the album is really good. I do think it's really good. But I think that with it being more of like looking backwards, right, versus pretty much everything else that I listed was like this is looking forwards. I think maybe Olivia Rodrigo is maybe the closest to looking backwards, but everybody else that I have on is like a front facing, like they're trying to do something new or something interesting. So that's pretty much my stipulation. I'm like, there's so many other people
doing this,
making incredible music, but they're trying to push the boundary, right? Brent Faiyaz is making a very good album. Yeah. Again, I gave it 8.5. It's not like I'm hating on it, right? But it doesn't. It came backwards, right? It's looking backwards.
More of a regression.
Yeah, I loved Wasteland. I think Wasteland was like number 3, 2, or something like that. Yeah, you
Wasteland pretty high,
right? So it's not like I don't like Brent Faiyaz. I love his work.
You know how I compared to kind of Lil Yachty's project in a sense, where Lil Yachty is also looking backwards. But he's not looking back as far. He's going back 5 years instead of 15 years. Yeah. And I would say Brent did a much better job of that than Lil Yachty did. I think if Brent dropped this project in 2005, it probably still goes #1.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty rare quality. So that's my #1. I have some honorable mentions that you didn't mention. And I don't know if you even thought of any of these, but Rory's album I thought was good.
Okay.
Georgia Smith, she was lightly considered, but not top 10 worthy.
She's making the wrong genre of music.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Victoria Monet, I think was on here. Her album, I think, was a little too homogenous for me. If not for that, she could have been on here. Mitski's album, I thought about. Christina and the Queens.
Oh, here's something that I feel like is not in either of our honorable mentions or anything.
Yeah,
but it is like the #1 album. The Record by Boygenius. You talked about Mitski.
No, I'm gonna get to that. I got some thoughts about the record.
Okay.
So we'll teaser. Okay. No spoilers. And then the Jungle album, Volcano. Those are my honorable mentions. I feel
was that an EP?
I thought it had 12 songs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think that those are the ones that I'm just like, these are not bad projects, but album of the year is a different conversation. And as well, I think that there's like a mix between it being homogenous helping you with an album in terms of it sounding good as a project.
Yep.
Or just being like, okay, it's not as good as, Sampha or Kali Uchis for that reason. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Okay. For my honorable mentions, I had Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia, Scaring the Host.
Yep.
Okay. I feel
you really wanted to review that one.
I did, but I think something got in the way and we could.
We didn't end up doing a review, but it was Black that beat out.
Right. Mistake. I feel that's a mistake on our part. We should have done Scaring the Host.
We didn't end up doing anything.
Right. Oh yeah. What happened? I can't remember what happened.
I think one of us was sick or something.
Yeah, something like that. One of us were sick. But yeah, Scaring the Host, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown. Yeah, a lot. Lean Beef Patty. That was a great song on it. I think that Ken Carson, right?
I'm surprised that wasn't in your top 10.
A Great Chaos. I think it was bordering. It was bordering, but I was like, actually, I like the Yeat album better.
Only one spot.
I couldn't. What are you gonna do? You want me to bump Jesse Ware for the Kid Carson album?
Whoever's the best should get in there, man.
So I think that it's really good. I think that Ken Carson's project is probably the most underrated album that came out this year.
You think so? Well, we're gonna get to the most underrated, most overrated. So.
And then, like I said before, the Brent Faiyaz, Larger Than Life. I have EPs, but their EPs are not albums. Here, I'll fire off my EPs because they're quick. Okay. My EPs. Drake, Scary Hours 3.
Yeah.
You gotta respect it. I mean,
if we were doing an EP list, that and the New Jeans EP would
be at the top of the list.
Yeah, fighting for 1 and 2.
And then, so New Jeans, obviously. Hello. Thank you very much. Okay. And then I don't think I need to say more than that.
No.
And then the other EP is Dave and Central C with a Split Decision. Yeah. Right? So those would be my EPs of the year. Right? You want to order them, you can order them in whatever way that you want. I don't really care. Personally, I'm gonna put New Jeans at the top just because I fucking love New Jeans' music.
Of course.
Okay. So yeah. So let's talk about this because I know there's gonna be a segment of our fans overall, music fans, et cetera, writers, whatever. Boygenius and the record is, if you were gonna do an aggregation of like a point system or something like that, that was album of the year this year.
I think,
and it did not make either of our lists nothing.
So we talked about superlatives for most overrated album. That's my most overrated album.
Yeah,
is Boygenius the record. I went back to listen to it because I'm like, maybe I'm tripping, bro.
Yeah,
and still feel the same way. And I think this is one of those projects where sometimes I think the success of an album in terms of how it is talked about, critically acclaimed, is part of who it reaches. And you can just leave that there with that. But I think that's part of why this album is so critically acclaimed, is who this album is speaking to and who it reaches.
I agree.
So I think the actual music itself is not that level of quality. They're obviously all very good musicians. The album is good, but my time seeing this in the top 3, top 1 was outrageous.
Yeah, I think that, well, you had Mitski's album in your honorable mention. So it's not like, again, we're not like shitting on their album.
Yeah.
We reviewed it and we're like, it's okay. I think that you're right where we talk about like audience, who they're trying to speak to. They're not speaking to us. They're not speaking to 2 black men in Canada. They're not speaking to them, right? No. So I think that whoever their target audience is, which is not us, they fucking love that album. Right? And it's all over. It's on. You can't look at a list and it's not on it.
No.
Right? And it's usually 1, 2, 3, right, on that list. So for the people that it's hitting every single day, every day of the week. You know what I mean? Good for them. I'm happy for them. But for me, it did not connect. I don't even.
You don't even get it.
I don't even get it. I don't even get it.
It's not. You know what's funny? It's not for us to get one. I think that's a huge part of it. And then 2, we talked about the Grammy's favorite white woman.
Yeah.
About a month ago. We forgot to mention them as a whole group because they're probably the new Grammy's favorite white woman as a whole. So,
good for them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm happy for every artist in any sort of success. Treacherous industry. So if you can figure out how to make it work, be successful, fantastic. I'm happy for you. Did not work for me. It's working for everybody else. It's okay.
What did you have as your most overrated album?
My most overrated album was actually, hold on a second. Okay, I have a series of albums, but I would say, and you know what, the fact that you included it on your list even reinforces it to me. That Lil Yachty album, Let's Start Here.
You're just not into
Tame
it.
Impala exists already though.
We talked about this before. That's just something that you have when you're reminded of a certain artist. You just can't get over it, and it's just like something that's like. It sticks and sticks and sticks. And I get it sometimes, but I think this is one of those moments where it's like you just can't get Tame Impala out of your head.
Okay, but even listening to it on its own merits, because there are good songs on it, right? I just didn't think that it was spectacular enough for the praise that it gets. Like the way that people were talking about it, especially on the timeline. Yeah. They were like, Lil Yachty reinvented music, bro.
Yeah, I think you were going too far. You were going way too far. That's the thing. I thought it was good. Yeah, and I think listening to it again, I'm like, okay, some of these songs I like more now, and I see the value in them. But I think this is, and I've said this before, this is one of those ones where his artist listens to mostly hip hop, and it's not hip hop R&B. So to them, this is
Yeah, mind blowing. I can't believe that they did that. I mean, songs like Black Seminole. Black Seminole is really good. You know, Drive Me Crazy. Like I'm looking at it now. You know, I've officially lost vision. Say something. So it's like the back half that I really liked.
The ride, yeah.
But I don't know. It wasn't that incredible to me. Like for the way that even you have it in your top 10, I'm like, top 10. Like
I think I just really like that sound. You know, and like I said before, like if anyone listens to the new Tame Impala, it don't sound like this.
That's true.
And I think that that's a big part of it as well as like I'm not, you know, holding him to that standard of like he's copying Tame Impala. Tame Impala don't sound like this no more.
Right.
You know, so he's copying more era than just a certain artist or a certain thing. So I guess me, that's why I'm giving it a little more leeway. But the other most overrated album I had was Scarlet by Doja Cat.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that. We're not even mentioning her but in the conversation at all. Shout out to her on tour doing her thing. Most underrated project, I had two. One we didn't review at all, but we mentioned briefly in whatever episode was Russ Santiago. And then Jack Harlow, Jackman.
I agree.
That Jack Harlow, Jackman is the real most underrated. I just wanted to mention Russ because I knew he wasn't going to be mentioned at all.
But here's the
in this
thing.
review.
Remember, I want you to remember when the Offset album came out.
Yeah.
I was like, this Russ album is actually really good.
And you're the only one I ever heard say that since.
Right?
That's what I'm saying, most underrated.
Yeah, so it's most underrated.
The album is really good. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But in our private conversation was the only time anyone mentioned the Russ album. So that's why I think Jack Harlow is the most underrated album for being like real.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give Russ a shout out because he's a big artist. He put out a full really good project.
Yeah.
You know, I had him in the top 10 a couple years ago and for Chomp, I think it was.
Yes.
Chomp 2, one of those. So he's getting to the level now where it's like, it's not just the internet. It's not just he's known for being independent. Like the music is becoming really, really good. So yeah, I just wanted to mention him. You had Jack Harlow as well for underrated?
Yeah, I agree with you on both fronts. The Jack Harlow thing, I already did it when we were talking about the score. The Russ, I mean, I guess Russ's personality is negative. I would say it's negatively impacting the popularity of his music at this point.
I agree.
I think that he's can be insufferable at times. And that is kind of turning people off from him. But there's also validity to what he says, especially more today. Like if you took what he was saying,
he called it
at that time and just like applied it to today, people would be like, Russ is a genius. He's you know, he has his third eye open, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he was totally right. And he was like on this crusade to kind of like save artists. And everybody was like, this guy's talking out of his ass and is really annoying. And then now we're in 2023 and he was like, yeah, I just like drop all of my music all of the time and I just do it all solo. I don't need a label and it's working. So
and everyone is basically trying to copy that right now.
So yeah, shout out to Russ, most underrated this year. And then we already talked about overrated, most surprising.
Yeah, most surprising, I had Lil Yachty just because there was no inclination that he was going to do that at all.
Yeah, because remember the single that came out before was Poland.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's like, just off of that, it's like, there's literally no way anyone could be like, I know what Lil Yachty has coming. So I think that's one. Then my like honorable mention in the most surprising was Hosier, Unreal Earth. I think anyone knows Hosier. It's not really surprised because he's been put out good projects. He's been putting out good music. But this one sounded a little bit different than what I'm used to from him. And, you know, I guess a surprise came to me because I didn't know it was coming out. I just had the album on my Spotify at some point and said, all right, new music. So it is the real answer to Lil Yachty, though.
Okay.
What about for you?
Most surprising, I put down Paramore. This is why
that's a good one.
I just did not expect it to be as good. I didn't expect them when they dropped the music. I also was like not expecting it to come out. Like I was just like in my eyes, they were just like dormant, right?
Yeah.
So for them to be live and like
live,
like good music is coming out. I'm like, I did not see any of this shit come. Still, I was I listened back to that podcast and I'm like, I was so surprised and I still am surprised.
It settled in for me a little bit just because the album was so good. They're like, this can't be a fluke.
Yeah.
You know, but did not see that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So for most improved, I had two people. One we didn't name at all, and one person who was on your list and in my honorable mentions.
Yep.
But I want to talk about two guys we haven't really named at all just to give them a shout out. Our three guys, Morgan Wallen, Travis Scott, Drake, some of the best-selling artists of the year.
Yep.
We don't have Bad Bunny in here for obvious reasons. We don't, we're not really huge Bad Bunny listeners, so we can't really speak to that. But those three guys being the best-selling male artists of the year, not at all being in our top 10, it speaks to kind of where there's a huge divide of what's like critically acclaimed and what's selling a lot.
Yeah.
I think Olivia Rodrigo is probably the closest mesh of those in our top 10.
True.
And a few years ago, Taylor Swift was at with Folklore.
Yeah.
But that's something I want to highlight because we're not our top 10 is not including the Billboard chart toppers. That's not really where our top 10 is including. So I want to see if that will be changed in going into the new year. But my most improved number one is Gunna.
Okay.
Some Gunna fans would say that that's not the case. He's always been this good, but Gunna, there's not one time in Gunna's career where I would have said he's gonna put out a full album with no features and it's gonna be his best project.
Right.
There's no, no matter how big Gunna fan you were, there's no way you could foresee that. So Gunna gotta be it for me. Like his best year, his biggest solo music, and the other one is Pink Pantheress. Pink Pantheress, I think as an artist, in terms of sonically, she hasn't changed that much. But I think her songwriting and her vocal ability.
Yes, I agree.
You know, like I think her first album, as much as it was good, why I think we differed a lot on that score or how we felt about it was, it's like it sounds like she came from her bedroom. I think that's part of the hype, but like it sounds like that. You know what I mean? So it's like to someone else, they're like, "Oh my god, it's so cool!" Like, she's, you know, and I'm here like, it sounds like that. Like
that's the point.
So it's like now it's like if you didn't know the backstory, you wouldn't assume she just, you know, came out her bedroom onto the stage. It sounds more refined, more polished. So Pink Pantheress, Gunna, my two most improved artists of the year. Who you got?
Okay, so this one, it's kind of hard to think of most improved because usually artists don't go from like trash to like incredible.
Yes.
Right? And it's usually a gradual like upwards trajectory, or it's like maybe like a bumpy and then like they go up. But for most improved, I don't know. I struggle with this.
So you're saying you still don't have nobody?
I still don't have one because I'm like, I'm trying to really think about who was like not very good and is like now great. And there isn't really, that person did not emerge for me.
Yeah, it was hard for me to get to. I think like we always talk about an improvement in someone's songwriting.
Yeah.
And that's someone we always highlight when someone improves in that. And so it's like, you know, who are the songwriters that got better over the years?
Yeah. I would say like like one that's like not obvious, but like visible to me is like New Jeans. When they go from like their first EP, which was kind of like, it was like Cookie and like Hype Boy and Ditto.
Yeah, this is more like you're ready. Right?
Like that, then it was like, okay, you know, like it was all right. They didn't have an established style. They didn't really have an established aesthetic. If you look at their music videos then versus now it's like they all have a specific style that they dress, the way that they dance. They have like a New Jeans style, like that's way of like when they're, sometimes they'll do like group moves, but they'll all do like an accentuation in a different way, right? Where that like it looks disorganized but organized at the same time. Like they'll be doing something in synchronicity, right? And then they'll have a section where they're allowed to break form from each other and do like a small freestyle for like a second or two, and then it comes back together in synchronicity again. So I think that New Jeans, this is for all the K-pop, and we're deep in the K-pop, but I think New Jeans, they were able to like improve to a point now that they're the leader of their generation of K-pop at this point.
Yeah, right. I agree with you in terms of the improvement, because how I feel about the New Jeans EP, I did not feel about their older music. Yeah. You know, so you're right about that improvement, but this is almost like, you know, someone in their second year winning most improved.
That's what I'm saying, you know?
So it's kind of like, yes, but you're supposed to improve.
Exactly.
Someone who we're not mentioning like this at all, but I think it's Central C. Central C, I think, is improved because obviously he's become one of the biggest UK rappers ever, you know, in terms of popularity, but his rapping on Split Decisions compared to his rapping before, to me, is much better.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost like kind of fake in a sense because he's rapping with Dave, you know? Like, I'm gonna rap good if I rap with Dave. You know what I mean?
You have to bring it.
So, you know, we got to see how he raps on his own. But I think that if you asked me a year ago, could Central C hang on a song with Dave?
No. You would have been easily enough.
Let alone the whole EP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Central C, I think, is someone on here who it's like, he's definitely improved since, you know, he blew up a little while ago.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else to say, or we're gonna make our step into the next realm?
Yeah, we're up to the next realm.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for watching. It has been amazing you joining us on this journey this year with the Album Mode Podcast. Of course, find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod on Twitter, Album Mode Pod on TikTok, Album Mode Pod on Instagram. Of course, we're on YouTube as well. Like this video, share this video, leave us a comment. Find us on YouTube at Album Mode. And there's plenty of reason to watch us on YouTube, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Plenty of reason to watch us on YouTube. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.